Hey there and welcome back. In this video about the Radian Pro, I'm going to show you what I do to disassemble the wing. Unless you have a very large car, you don't want anything else in it, you're going to want to disassemble the wing and transport it to the field disassembled. In the first few flights I actually do have a car large enough to put it in whole, but I couldn't put any other airplanes in it, so I'm thinking I will disassemble it to take it to the field. The first thing I'm going to do is use a hobby knife to lift up the Blenderm tape. Okay. It's easier to get underneath the Blenderm tape with a hobby knife, and then just work your way along and peel up the tape. It is sticky but removable. Gotta find the corner of it here. There we go. Now I've taken this Blenderm tape off several times now, and I made a mistake by putting the Blenderm too far down here, and it pulled off the pinstriping. Not a big loss, but it just affects the looks. Alright. So the Blenderm tape is sticky and flexible, and you can pull it all off as a unit if you're careful. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is pull out all the receiver connections, and in order to do that, I'm going to cut the little tie wrap that I've got on it. Okay, so just a little tie wrap to hold the things all in place, and I'm going to start at the back end. So the first one I'm going to take off is the left aileron, which is in the aux1 channel. There we go. And the next one is the actually I'm going to take out the rudder and elevator next. Then I'm going to pull out the Y connector for the flaps. That'll make it easier to pull that out. Okay. The other thing I do when I disassemble an airplane, so I don't lose anything, I have a bag for all the spare parts that didn't actually get used in the airplane, so I'm going to use the same bag and take it to the field when I want to reassemble. Okay, so it'll have the Y connector in there, and I'll put the extra screw is already in there, and I'll put the let's see here. Okay, the two screws in it as soon as I get them out. Okay, so now I've got the last four, actually five, the aileron, elevator, rudder, gear, and aux1 all out, and that's going to allow me to disassemble the wing. And obviously I forgot the screwdriver, so it's a small head Phillips screwdriver. And the only thing I noted in the assembly process was that you got to get the wing all the way in for the screw to line up. The screw threads aren't that long. As you can see, the screw is not threaded all the way down. It's just threaded at the beginning part there. And those two screws will go in the bag so I don't lose them. And for safety's sake, I'm going to put my razor blade away. Now that those are out, the only other thing I'm going to do is as you can see in here, this is the variometer. See if I can get a little closer here for you. So this wire here is the variometer, and it's not attached to anything, so it should pull out nicely, and it's not. So I can see what's going on here. No, it's just caught up on one of the connectors. There we go. Okay, so there's the variometer. I'm going to leave it attached to the receiver, the telemetry module actually. And now that those four wires are loose, I can start pulling out the wing. Okay, and making sure that those two wires come out first. And I'm actually going to pull the wing off the tube, leaving the tube in there. There we go. So I got one wing off. I'm going to pull the tube out and lift out the second wing. And there we go. So I have labeled, that's the flap and this is the left aileron. Yeah, that's the left aileron. And so I do have them labeled, so when you go to put them in, you can identify who's who, and that's very important. Okay, so do note that you're going through a hard plastic piece here for the screw to screw into, and that's what the threads are hitting. And so you do want the wing to line up against that, and it does require the wing to be all the way into the center for that. So I can leave the wires attached. So the Blenderm tape is still on there, and it didn't come off when I pulled off the other Blenderm tape, which is good. And so the variometer and the two receivers will stay in the airplane. So it's not that hard to take it off, and not that hard to put back on. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.